Okay, so this is a quick summary of what we did to deal with 5-cent and 7-cent stamps. So we're here at the end, and we're looking at the remainders when you divide by 5, so this column here. And we see that, of course, when you divide a multiple of 5 by 5, the remainder is 0. So we are able to take a look at that. Let's see where this came from. So here's our table. And notice that it's 5 wide because one of the denominations of stamps is 5. We can make everything in that last column where the remainder is 0. All of these numbers, when you divide them by 5, leave a remainder of 0. And you can make them with no 7-cent stamps. So let's see what that looks like here. So it looks like when the remainder is 0, when you divide by 5, you don't need any 7-cent stamps. And the reason, of course, is because you can make that amount of postage using entirely 5-cent stamps. So let's take a look at some of these other columns when the remainders are different. So now we're looking at the 7-cent stamp. So here's a 7-cent stamp. So let's take a look at that. We can make a 7-cent stamp, and because this table is 5 wide, that anything underneath it is 5 more. So 5 more than 7 is 12, 5 more than 12 is 17, 5 more than 17 is 22. You get the idea. So if I can make 7 cents in postage with one 7-cent stamp, then I can make anything else in that column. So here we're looking at a remainder of 2 when you divide by 5. Take a look at that. Everything in this column has a remainder of 2 when you divide by 5. Here's a simple example. 52 divided by 5 leaves a remainder of 2. So when the remainder is 2, we only need one 7-cent stamp. So let's go back and look at our table. When the remainder is 2, we only need one 7-cent stamp. So now that you get the idea, I'm going to go through this a little bit more quickly to get the remaining 3. So let's get our table and let's finish it up. We can make 14 cents with 2 7-cent stamps. So there's 14 being made bold. And it looks like, of course, because this table is 5 wide, anything below it is 5 more. If I can make 14 cents with 2 7-cent stamps, I can make 19 cents with 2 7-cent stamps and one 5-cent stamp. One more 5-cent stamp gives me 24 cents, one more 29, one more 34. You get the idea. So everything in that column can be made with 2 7-cent stamps. So let's make sure that that is how we recorded that. So everything in that column, what column was that? That was the column where the remainder was 4 when you divide by 5. So fairly easy to see. If I divide 34 by 5, I get a remainder of 4. Everything in this column leaves a remainder of 4 when divided by 5. So we're in this column, and we said we needed 2 7-cent stamps. Let's keep on going. We're doing great. Let's see. So there's 7, 14. The next one is 21. So let's do that. So 21 cents in postage can be made with 3 7-cent stamps. And then, as everything in this table, we can get the value below it by adding a 5-cent stamp. Now here, all these numbers very clearly, when you divide by 5, leave a remainder of 1. So when the remainder is 1, we have to use 3 7-cent stamps. So let's go back to our table and let's take a look. When the remainder is 1, when you divide by 5, we have to use 3 7-cent stamps. One more to go, we're almost there. So let's go back to that table. 7, 14, 21, 28. We can make 28 with 4 7-cent stamps. So here's 28, and of course everything below it we can make by adding 5-cent stamps. So if the remainder is 3 when we divide by 5, we need 4 7-cent stamps. Let's make sure that that's what our table shows. When the remainder, when we divide by 5, is 3, then we need 4 7-cent stamps. So if I, for example, ask this question, how many 7-cent stamps are needed to make $7.99 in postage? The first thing I need to know is how many 7-cent stamps we need to use. So that requires me to make the table. We've gone through and done that. I'm going to go 5 wide, which means that I'm going to take $7.99 and divide it by 5. So when we do that, $7.99 divided by 5 is 157 with a remainder of 4. So we look at our table and we see that when the remainder is 4, we need 2 7-cent stamps. So we're going to use 2 7-cent stamps. So here's our 2 7-cent stamps. That's worth 14 cents in postage. The question now is, how many 5-cent stamps do we need? Well, the 2 7-cent stamps are worth 14 cents. So we've already made 14 cents towards the 799 cents we need to make. That leaves 785 cents. Very clearly, 5 goes into that evenly. So we do the division, and we say that 785 divided by 5 requires 35 5-cent stamps. So that table really helps us to solve this question just by making it into a division question. We just have 5 potential answers for the remainder, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 potential answers for the number of 7-cent stamps, and we get all the information that we need. I hope that helps.